Hey y'all, it's September the 20th, 2016. Alright, it's a Sunday. And I had to go to work. I'm gonna be at work all day. I'm gonna hate it. I'm gonna hate it. Uh, Before then, I gotta go running a little bit. I gotta release my wiggles a little bit, alright? But before that, what I'm doing right now is I wanna make this short video because I feel like I've mentioned this briefly, but I want to further elaborate when it comes, I suppose, to my stance on abortions, because I know that a lot of people can't get with my stance on abortions. They can't do it, and I want to help them with that. All right. Uh, as is the video's title, all right, narcissists, I want to explain, are just further proof that babies are perfect the way that they're made. All right. They automatically always come out exactly the way that they need it to come out perfectly, um, in order to live their life the way that God has planned for them. All right. Babies are perfect. What I want to explain is this: you were born a baby, and you were born perfectly. All right, and then you were born into the world, and after a while, the world eventually changed you into not perfect. You're not perfect no more. Neither am I. All right, we're not perfect, but we were as babies, and that's important to remember. All right, that as a person who used to be a baby, you've never learned anything worth knowing here on earth. It's a hard pill to swallow. You've never done it. All right? Because if it was worth knowing, you already knew it as a baby. All right? You're simply reminding yourself here. Whenever you go somewhere and you learn something and it's very significant, you feel like you really accomplished something, you're not learning anything, you're relearning it. You're being reminded of what you already knew because you used to be a baby, a perfect one. All right, that's how it works. Whenever you learn something bad that's terrible for you, a bad habit, anything like that that's negative, yeah, you're learning it here. You're retarding yourself. You used to be a perfect baby, but you've been retarded. I've been retarded all over the place. All right, and it's easy to pick out when and where I'm retarded. All right, but that's how it works. You either relearn stuff you already knew, or you learn some retarded, suicidal nature type stuff, and that's what you're gonna learn here on Earth. All right, so babies are perfect. How is it that narcissists go ahead and prove this? Well, uh, see, I was reminded in a video, and I left a link down there to the other video, and it's on a channel called Understanding Narcissism. And the fella on there he seems like a very humble person, and also he's unbelievably articulate. I mean, he really just can find the words for anything. And he clearly describes how he would advise raising a child if you're co-parenting with a narcissist person. And he explains something that is encompassed by what I was saying earlier, that babies are perfect, because at one point in the child's life, they're going to have a narcissistic parent. They're not going to know what narcissism is. They're going to know something's wrong with that parent. Something's a little bit off with that parent. They're going to notice that. And they're going to start having questions. And the guy on the channel, he explains how to go ahead and address the questions a child would have when they realize that something is off about their narcissistic parent. There's something that's not adding up there. All right. It's at that point in a child's life in which it's basically a turning point. It's a fork in the road. Either someone clearly explains to them what is happening with their parent, and why narcissism is not productive. Or maybe that doesn't happen, and maybe that child is being abused by a narcissistic parent, because they will always be abused by a narcissistic parent one way or another. Maybe nobody will explain what is going on, and that child will further become retarded and be indoctrinated into the world of narcissism. In fact, that's usually the most contagious way that narcissism is spread from parent to a child. Right? So by that logic, you can see that that child, it didn't need to know that something was wrong. It didn't need to detect narcissism and know that something was wrong. All right. The reason that the child did detect it is because the child is perfect. Child already knew everything that it needs to know. Child already knew that narcissism, although it's the child's thing to do, is extremely irresponsible for anyone who's not a child. And they know this innately. All right, because they're born perfect. They come direct from, see, that's the whole point. Is they're coming direct from God. You wonder what babies come from. Directly from God. That's why they come out perfect. That's why they enter a world and face nothing but retardation all the way through. All right? They're born exactly perfect. And then, now I want to finish up on my stance on abortion, because a lot of people can't get with it. They can't get with my stance and stuff. They think it's a little bit too harsh. The thing is, I don't like abortion because it calls into question, okay, this baby came out perfect out of the womb, right? We can already see that, right? So when was it made perfect? I couldn't tell you. There's no way that I could tell you. When the baby officially became perfect and it had everything it needs to live, I couldn't tell you. All right. And when you think about it, if the baby is coming from God, pops out of the womb perfect, from then on out is only kind of tarnished and stained by the world. If that is the case, then it would be reasonable to argue that the baby was most perfect exactly when it was made. All right. By that logic, that's the only scenario that makes sense. It happens to be a scenario that's described in the Bible. I believe Jeremiah, if I'm not mistaken, like right there at the beginning. Right there at the beginning, God knew you, knew what your name was, gave you everything that you needed to understand things in the world, including that narcissism is a deep underlying problem in society. As a baby, you already knew that. As a baby, you knew how to play all your favorite instruments. The world is keeping you back from that. Anyways, we're balls deep up in the tribulation, you guys. It's Sunday morning. I hope y'all have a good one. And I'm going to holler at y'all